What is up, everybody? Master Reactor here, and I'm going to do a replay of me versus Card Goodman here. So let's see what happened. I won't show what happened, so it'll be a little bit suspenseful for y'all, a little bit. So we're on to the game now. Rock, paper, scissors. I throw a rock, he throws paper and gets me. If you play Go format, you know who Card Goodman is. Definitely a top player, so a bit nervous playing him, but let's see what happens. He's got Spy, Faith, DD Warrior Lady, Thunder Dragon, BLS, and Heavy Storm. He decides to set his DD Warrior Lady and then discard the Thunder Dragon and bring him. Set and pass. I have Thunder Dragon. I open Thunder Dragon, Pot, Magician of Faith, Breaker, Knock, and BLS. So I fire the Pot of Greed into Sanguine and Graceful. Really good. Clutch ass Pot of Greed. Clutch ass Pot of Greed because I got Graceful with it, which is always good. So I discard both Thunder Dragons. I decide to Nobleman. And it is a DD Warrior Lady, and decide to poke him for 1,000 here. And set Solemn, set MST, and say go. He decides to set Sanguine and say go. I draw on a Ring of Destruction. I decide to set the ring right away and set the Spy and say go. He draws into Upstart Goblin. Fires the Upstart, again 1,000, into another Spy. He tries to heavy me. I instantly Solemn it because now I got double back row. Not letting it go. He sets his Magician of Faith and says go. Now this turn is a little sussy. Not gonna lie, it's a little suspect turn here. So I fire the Upstart. I get the Tribe. So that doesn't really do much. I decide to bring my own Sanguine here and search for Tsukiyomi and bring the BLS out and banish the face down, which I thought was Heavy Storm. So he would have flipped it up anyways and got heavy and blew my back row out, and it would have been terrible. So he draws into Snatch Steal, which is a great draw for him. I set my Faith and said go. And my dumbass, he tries to snatch. I instantly MST it. My dumbass left the Spy in attack mode. This is a huge misplay for me because he wouldn't have been able to go into his Chaos Monster. So he runs into it, obviously. Gets his Magician of Faith. Main phase 2, brings his BLS out, banishes mine, sets Faith, and says go. I draw into Upstart. I fire it into Jar of Greed. Maybe I didn't have to fire that Upstart, so I discard the Jar of Greed that I drew off Upstart with Tribe to instantly destroy his BLS. I flip up my Faith. And I could get Graceful here. I could get Pot, but I decided to get Knock because I think it's the safest card, which it was a good decision because I got his Faith. And I switch everything and attack. Attack with everything. He's got double Spy and double Thunder Dragon. Can't really do much. And he has Tsukiyomi. So it's not looking good for him at all. Draws into Tsukiyomi. He decides to run the Spy out and attack. I drop the Breaker, and that's enough for game. So that was game 1. Quick, easy, fast. That's how I like them. Let's get it. No drama, no. I did kind of suspect by ringing the Sanguine and doing all that shit, but it is what it is. I got 5 people watching. We had a bunch of Go Format pros watching, rooting Card Goodman on probably, just playing, doesn't matter either way. So let's see what happens game 2. Game 2, he's got Chaos Sorcerer, Goat, Meta, Mind Control, Tribe, and Chaos Sorcerer. He decides to set the Scapegoat and say go. I've got Thunder Dragon, Wing Blast, Tribe, Sinister, Kaiku, and Sanguine. I decide to run the Sanguine out and poke him. Main phase 2, discard the Thunder Dragons, set Wing Blast and say go. He draws into Meta, decides just to pass. I decide to attack again. I'm like, fuck it, it's working, let's go. He draws into Spirit Reaper now. I decide to set the Reaper. Now I'm gonna go into standby phase and use the Wing Blast to put the monster back on top. And I swing for 1,000, set another Wing Blast and say go. He draws into what is obviously Spirit Reaper. He tries to set it again. My turn, I draw into a Mystical Space Typhoon. I decide to do it again. Put him back on top, set him back a couple turns. Let's get it. And poke him for 1,000. He takes it again. Now he's at 4K. He took 4. Sanguine attacks now. He draws into the Reaper and sets it. I decide to fire the MST here, which, I mean, it's not the greatest, obviously, but it really was because it gets rid of all of his goat tokens, and now I can attack over and see that it's Reaper and get rid of it, set Mirror Force and say go. He draws into Tsukiyomi. He decides to mind control my tribe and discard a Tsukiyomi to... So he just 2-for-1'd himself there for no reason at all, but it's all good. So I draw into Graceful Charity. He sets his tribe and sets his Metamorphosis. I Graceful Charity into Pot, Knock, and Kaiku. So that was pretty clutch, not gonna lie. I decide to discard the Sinister and discard the Kaiku just in case I draw into a Chaos Monster so I can have the Dark and Light. So, and I have another Kaiku anyway, so it didn't really matter. And there he is, the BLS, let's go. I decide to run out the Kaiku, Nobleman the monster, and get in for 28, leave him with 1200. Banish both his darks, and just say go, good luck. He draws into Scapegoat, which is clutch. I draw into Magician of Faith, I get my Sinister back. I decide to attack, he has to Scapegoat or he's gonna die. So I hit 2 of the goats. And decide to set Sinister and say go, which was a clutch-ass play because now he has Metamorphosis, and he thinks he's gonna get something good. But instead he gets a Sinister. Then he decides to meta the other goat to bring another Thousand Eyes Restrict out and take the other one, set Book of Moon, and say go. I draw on the Solemn Judgment, and I say, you know what? I'm just going to try to go for it right here. I'm not going to wait for the Solemn Judgment or any of that shit. So I decide to Snatch, steal one of the Thousand Eyes Restrict. Okay. He says, all right. And I instantly bring the BLS out, and I say, you better have it. Banish that, and I try to attack for game, and he has to Book of Moon it. So he's got double Sork now, and I have Solemn with a Faith down and a Mirror Force. He draws in the Spy, and that is the game. Damn, that was crazy. So, there goes that replay, but we're going to go into another one real quick, because I figure we might have some time. So, got one of them right there. I think I'm like 11-1 or something. I lost one today, the first match I lost, but now I've won 4 straight. And I won 7 yesterday, so yeah, I'm 11-0 right now. 11-1, sorry, 11-1. So this guy, we have Snatch Steak. So let's see what happens. He throws the rock, I throw the rock. He throws the paper, I throw the paper. He throws the rock, I throw the paper. So I cover him. So let's see. Game 1, I got Knock, Faith, Thunder Dragon, Spy, Faith, and Thunder Dragon. So double Thunder Dragon, double Faith, Spy, Knock. Obviously terrible. Not going to be good at all. Time you open double Thunder Dragon in double Faith, it's really bad. So I set the Spy and say go. It's my only move. He's got Meta, Torrential, BLS, Pre-Ring, and Scapegoat. So he decides to set the Scapegoat and set the Torrential and say go. I decide to just flip the Spy up here, and he says okay. Literally have nothing this game. Shit's terrible. I try to attack for 1200. And he instantly activates Scapegoat on me. I decide to attack one Scapegoat, main phase 2. I decide to tribute the Spy for the Thunder Dragon face down, because I figure he has the Metamorphosis, so I don't really, you know. So he draws into Duo, which is a clutch-ass draw for him. He duos me. If this couldn't get any worse, he plays Duo on me and gets me. Boom. And I flip up, I draw Snatch Steal for turn. He draws into another Scapegoat. And now he decides to meta and take my Spy, which is fine. And he runs into it. I decide to MST it. And he decides to Chain Ring on my Thunder Dragons. I'm like, whatever, this shit's over anyways. Doesn't really matter. I draw into Deco, which is pretty dead right now. I just pass. He runs out the Tsukiyomi and hits me for 11 and flips up back up his Thousand Eyes. I draw into Upstart. Upstart into Chaos Sorcerer. I have to bring him out of here. I'm going to keep taking 11. I banish it. I set my Deco and say go. He draws into Snatch Steal. Must be nice. So he Snatch Steals my shit. Summons Tsukiyomi, puts it down, flips it up. Attacks with Tsukiyomi. I draw one. Book of Moon. Hits me for 23. I'm at 3k. I draw into a Mirror Force. I instantly snatch him. Uses effect to banish. I set Faith, set Mirror Force, and set Book of Moon and say go. He draws into his Faith now and gains 1,000. And he decides to just set the Scapegoat and say go. I flip the Spy. I flip the Faith up. He says okay. I switch it. And he takes 300. And then he Scapegoats me, which is fine. And then I set Solemn and MST. He draws into Sakuretsu Armor. A little bit of momentum back in this game. Not really, but hey. End phase, I MST the new one, which is Saku. I decide to knock his monster. And poke over 2 goats. Set the Faith and say go. He draws into Mirror Force. He sets the Faith and sets the Mirror Force and says go. I draw into Tribe. I flip up the Faith. And he asks me target. I say Nobleman. And he tries a Torrential. And I have to Solemn it because it's my whole entire board here. Fuck it. And I run out the Tribe. Knock him. And I'm just like, fuck it, attack. And I run into a fucking Mirror Force. And I Book of Moon my Chaos Sorcerer. My Chaos Sorcerer. I'm so stupid. Chaos Sorcerer. Then main phase 2, I decide to flip it up and banish the goat because I didn't attack with it. He draws into Sangan. He decides to set Sangan and say go. I draw into Upstart. I fire the Upstart. I draw into Solemn. Game's not looking too bad. I think I have a chance. He has no lights. He grabs the Sinister, which is a good ass draw. He draws in a Nobleman. He decides to Premature Burial into the Sangan. And then crashes the Sangan. Maybe I could have Solemn this right here because I knew he was going to get to his light. Probably where I misplayed. I probably should have just Solemn that shit because now he gets his light. But I'm just waiting for the BLS to Solemn, so it's pretty stupid to do. I draw into a dead ring. He gets his Saku back. I set the ring. He has MST. Decides to MST the new one. Drops the BLS. I have to Solemn it. So now I know he has Saku and Sinister. And this card's random still. He decides to set Sinister and set the Saku. I can't attack. I draw Greed into Sangan. And now I decide to just attack. And he's going to Saku the Sangan. And I go get Deco. It's pretty much my only target. He gets a Tribe. He tries to Tribe me. I have to Solemn it. Sitting at 375 here. Not good. I switch the Chaos and attack. Set Deco. And set Wing Blast. He draws into Graceful Charity. Must be nice. Graceful Charity. Discards Chaos Sork and Sinister. Decides to knock my monster, which sucks. And then he sets his Serpent and sets his Magical Merchant. I run the Sinister out like a fucking idiot and attack into it, even though he just threw the Sinister away. That's how fucking stupid and high I am. So he gets me game 1. It is what it is. That was so fucking dumb to even run the Sinister when he threw the Sinister away. Wow, I just realized that, how stupid I am. I really thought it was Sinister still. But that's what happens when you play a lot of games. You don't realize shit. So that was game 1. That was dumb as shit, not gonna lie. When I knew he threw away the Sinister, that was really dumb. But we're on to game 2. So, game 2, I have Pot of Greed, Trap Dust Shoot, Chaos Sorcerer, Spy, Tsukiyomi, Solemn, MST, Kaiku. I got it all. Let's go. I set Solemn, set MST, set Trap Dust Shoot, fire the Dust Shoot, put the Reaper back. He decides to Graceful. I let him do it because he has no fodder. Don't really care. He draws into Spy, BLS, Pre, and Mind Control. Decides to discard a Yomi and a Meta. He Mind Controls. He's not playing Spies. So that's a neg for him. That was good. And he just says go. I draw into another Trap Dust Shoot. I run the Tsukiyomi out. Flip down my Spy and swing, bada, swing. Set Trap Dust Shoot and say go. I instantly Trap Dust Shoot him. Putting the Ashura Priest back. So he's pretty dead here. He tries to Snatch Steel. I MST it so he don't get the Snatch. He has to set his Tsukiyomi. And I duel his fucking hand, which I know is Pre and BLS. Get that shit out of here. Run out the Kaiku. He decides to put it down because he thinks he has a chance still. And I hit him for 24. He draws into Abyss Soldier. I Solemn Judgment. And that is the game 2. So we're on to game 3 now. Long video. If you're still here watching, what's goody? What's goody? Long video. We're on to game 3 now. Game number 3 versus Snatch Steak. He gets to go first. He's got Ring, Goat, Tsukiyomi, Sinister, Magical Merchant, and Snatch Steel. He decides to set the Merchant and set the Goat and say go. I got the Pot of Greed. Draw a Pot of Greed. I draw Solemn and Knock. I've got Chaos Sorcerer, BLS, Wing Blast, Double Solemn, and Deco with a Knock. Instantly knock his Merchant. Get that shit out of here. He's playing 2. I decide to set 3, 2 Solemns and a Wing Blast, and set my Deco. He draws into Injection Fairy Lily. What in the actual fuck? He sets his Ring of Destruction and says go. I decide to flip up the Deco and draw into the one of Trap Dust Shoot that I left in. I left 1 Trap Dust Shoot in, and that shit was clutch. So he decides to Scapegoat. I'm like, sure, that's cool. Hit one of them. Poke at one of them. Set Dust Shoot, set Book, and say go. He draws into Pot of Greed. I Solemn Judgment, put the Injection Fairy Lily back. So I really ain't got an answer for it. I Solemn the Pot. Not let him do shit. He tries to Snatch Steal me. I book him. And then I use my last Solemn on the Ring of Destruction. Because I'm like, fuck it. I know what he has. I might as well go for it. Then I draw a Graceful Charity for turn, which is clutch. I draw into a Deco. I don't play the Graceful yet. I save it. He draws into BLS, which would be a good draw if he had anything. But he doesn't. And he literally has to just either set Serpent or set whatchamacallit. He sets the Serpent. I don't do it right away. I decide to flip the Deco, draw Torrential, poke into the shit, and then hit. Then main phase 2, I decide to duo and set Torrential and say go. He draws into a Abyss Soldier, which is fine. He runs the Abyss Soldier out. I don't even do anything. I'm like, cool, you can't kill me. Hit me for 400. Awesome, you got rid of it. My turn, I draw on the Sangan. And now I'm just sick of waiting because he's got this board here that he could connect with something. I should have waited a turn because I would have drew the Thunder Dragon, but I didn't. I discard the Torrential and the Sangan because they're pretty dead right now. I go get my Tribe, and I'm trying to finish from this turn. I bring both my Chaos Monsters out. Hit the Deco into the Goat, hit Chaos Sorcerer, hit, leave him down to 3,800, set Solemn, set Faith, say go. He draws into another Abyss Soldier. Back-to-back Abyss Soldiers, that's so funny. He runs the Abyss Soldier out, I instantly Solemn it again. Same thing I did game 2 to him, and that is the game. So y'all hit the like, hit the sub. I just beat 2 pretty good Go players, back-to-back on him. Pretty fucking funny. He got me game 1 because I misplayed like crazy by attacking into the Serpent, but I was done anyways that game. I had nothing game 1, so I really didn't care. If I would have seen that he discarded Serpent, obviously I wouldn't have attacked into it, but it is what it is. You live, you learn, and I had the fucking Wing Blast too game 1. So funny, but y'all hit the like, hit the sub. Y'all have a good day or night. Longer video, double match, so peace out. Bye.